America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, Wednesday morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Former Congressman Joe Walsh here on the social contract with Joe Walsh. I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's a problem. Misinformation and disinformation. The fact that so many of us every single day are bombarded by and pay attention to things that aren't the truth. I don't know what we do about that in so many ways, right? TikTok, we are such a lucky generation of people. We are so fortunate to be alive right now. We've got, look at right here. I mean, we've got this technology. We've got computers. We've got the internet. We've got laptops. We've got smartphones. We've got 24/7, man, a gazillion sources of information at our fingertips every single day. That's a great thing. What an amazing thing. But there's so much bullshit out there. What do we do about it? And because we have so many sources and so many places to go, right, to stay informed, so many of us are exposed every day to utter bullshit and lies. The marketplace is full of, there's an industry of misinformation and disinformation that's put in front of each and every single one of us every single day. Everything that happens every day, you can get a million different interpretations of what happened. I don't know what we do about this. I'm not a government guy. I'm not a big government guy. I don't want the government to interfere and intercede and regulate and say, no, MSNBC, those are lies. No, Fox News, those are lies. No, that was a bunch of misinformation on Joe Rogan's podcast. The government needs to do something about it. I don't want any of that. I don't know what we do about it. I just know this. This is a real problem. In so many ways, we are the most informed human beings who've ever lived, but in so many ways, we are the most misinformed human beings who've ever lived as well. Just look at this $400 million plane from Qatar. Depending on where you go to get your information, you're going to have a completely different interpretation of what this plane is. It's a gift to America. It's a gift to our Defense Department. Donald Trump has nothing to do with it. It's a gift to Trump. It's going to follow Trump outside the White House when he leaves. You listen to MSNBC, you listen to Fox News, you go on this guy's podcast, that guy's podcast, you go online on Twitter, man, you can get a gazillion different interpretations and conspiracies about what this plane is. Misinformation and disinformation out there when it comes to any event, any happening, any issue in this country. And so the basic facts, the basic truth gets lost. And we all end up living in different realities. Some of us live in that Fox News reality. Some of us live in the MAGA reality. Some of us live in the MSNBC reality. Some of us live in the far left reality. And that's just two of them, right? We all live in different realities. We all get different information about the same damn events every day. Continuing my conversation today with Brian Murphy, former Marine, former FBI, former Homeland Security, intel expert. I met with Brian Murphy, part of my continuing weekly conversations with Americans of all political viewpoints. And MAGA, you don't know what political perspective Brian Murphy is. Brian Murphy, by the way, gentleman I sat down with in Northern Virginia a while back. Again, he's not a partisan guy, has always been Republican, but our continuing conversation about the threats America faces here at home and abroad. And the threat we discussed today is this threat of misinformation and disinformation, what it is, where it comes from, how come it's here, and what it leads to. I've got a little snippet of my conversation with Brian Murphy right here. TikTok, going to play it for you. Go ahead,
Keith. We took a pause from civics when you and I went to school, and we pivoted towards STEM. And the country did that for a good reason. We needed to kind of get into the math, science, tech game. But that's at the expense of something else, right? So you have a degradation at some level of civics. Then we have the rise of social media. We also have a toxic political environment. There's not just one thing. These things are not happening in isolation. Then you have, for example, the Russians or others mixing the pot.
Taking advantage of it.
It's all together. Yeah, and I had mentioned, before, I think another reason is that there's a decline in the way that you and I grew up with the media. And I'm not trying to denigrate parts of the media, but the truth is we have that 24/7 news cycle, right? And people are split on what they watch. One group watches Fox News, another CNN, a third MSNBC.
Completely different realities.
Yeah, and they're only fixated on what they want. It's the same thing with the social media problem, right? It's the algorithms, what it's bringing to you. You choose to bring that in both directions. Algorithms a little bit more oblique, but that 24 media cycle, you're really going to get a very particular spin to the news.
Do you, maybe this is a hard one, Brian, to answer. Do you feel like the average American is becoming more obsessed with politics as news they want to take in every day?
I think so. I mean, I don't have a good way to back that up, but I do think that people are more triggered by events that are in the news, right? They can be that clarion call for them to become more radicalized. And so that 24 news cycle adds to that. I do think that there's less voter apathy in a bad way and more interest in it, and it can be a sparking cause.
Thank you, Keith. Hopefully you picked up on all of that TikTok. I got to say, and I've said this before, every week I'm having conversations with Americans of all political stripes. We're having these conversations. I'm filming these conversations and we're putting them up for everyone to see. This was one of my most favorite conversations with Brian Murphy in Northern Virginia a while back because he's an expert. He's an intel expert. He's a threat level expert. But he's a regular guy, former Marine, grew up in this country, loves this country, and he spells it all out for us in such plain, simple talk. I just love this conversation. Reminder, everyone, you can listen to the full conversation with Brian Murphy. Go to my Substack, socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. The entire conversation is there. The entire 8, 9, 10 minute conversation on just this topic of misinformation is there. Check it all out. We're the culprits, Brian Murphy said. This is kind of like the age-old question that I wrestle with. Okay, we're bombarded by misinformation and disinformation and bullshit and lies every day. We all live in different realities, right? Fox News has a reality. MSNBC has a reality. CNN has a reality. Every news channel and network has a different reality. Every podcast has a different reality. Every internet source has a different reality. Everybody you follow on Twitter, so-called experts, they all have a different reality. We all go to the same places every day. And what's happening is we end up living in different realities. Social media, Brian talked about the algorithms, which purposely push us and keep us in our own information realities. Yeah, all of that's going on, but we're still the culprits. We still choose to go live in our realities. We still choose to believe the bullshit and the lies that are put in front of us every day. We do. Very few of us, when we are in our reality, living in our silo, and we hear something like, oh my God, Trump was just gifted a $400 million plane from Qatar, bad old evil funder of Hamas, Qatar, and Trump's going to take that plane from Qatar. Right away, we all hear that story. And right away, instead of doing our best, our damn best to try to get at the truth of what it is, we all go to our realities. We all go to our familiar sources who will tell us the things that we want to believe. And if we want to believe there ain't nothing wrong with Trump receiving a $400 million plane from Qatar, if that's what we want to believe, then by golly, I'm going to go to Fox News and I'm going to go to sources on the web on the right who are going to tell me it's not a big deal. And if we're convinced that this is an unconstitutional gift that Trump is receiving, he can't receive it without congressional approval, we're right away going to go to our sources because we want to hear that. Brian Murphy talks about this. We're the culprits, guys. I know. I mean, I wrestle with this. Who's to blame? Right? We're all living in different realities. There's a bunch of misinformation and disinformation out there every single day that we're bombarded with. Who's to blame? Well, at the end of the day, we are, because we choose to believe it. We choose to believe the lies. If Donald Trump tells you he won the 2020 election, that is an absolute lie. If you believe that, you're to blame because you're choosing to believe a lie. And right now, when it comes to this plane from Qatar, if you strip away all of the bullshit and you just look at the bare facts of this plane from Qatar, the bare facts are this. Just the facts. You decide what you want to do with it, but just the truth. Like if every single American had to look at the same basic listing of facts before we went to our own realities, what you'd find out is it's a $400 million plane that Qatar wants to give to Trump. The deal is the plane will go to Trump and it will leave with Trump when he leaves the White House. and it will follow Trump. That's the basic deal as structured now. It would be like America or France gave the Statue of Liberty to America. And when Grover Cleveland left office, the Statue of Liberty went to him and he could put it in his backyard. That's what the deal is right now. The plane will go with Trump. It's a $400 million gift. By the way, it'll take about $1 billion to retrofit for defense and security purposes. Probably won't be ready, even if Trump grabs it tomorrow. Estimates are it won't be ready for a few years, but it will follow Trump. Now, those are the facts. And we have a constitution, and we have an emoluments clause, fact, which says that a president can't take a gift like that without congressional approval. That's just a fact. But see, not every American is shown that basic listing of facts. And we go to our own realities, as Brian Murphy says, and we believe the shit we want to believe. It ain't a gift to Trump. It's a gift to America. Boom, 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 boom. No different than the Statue of Liberty. Boom, boom, boom. Away we go. We go down our separate roads. The clip that I played with Brian Murphy is, look, 2 important points. And Brian Murphy and I, by the way, get into this in this conversation. We're to blame. We're the culprits. There's a gazillion bits of misinformation and disinformation out there every day. We ultimately choose to believe it. Foreign actors, I asked Brian Murphy about foreign actors like Russia and China and the rest. They love to stir the pot. They want, I wish everybody understood this. Russia wants there to be polarization in America. Russia wants America to live in these different information realities. Russia wants a bunch of misinformation, disinformation out there. So Russia and China and other bad actors, they stir the pot and they take advantage of this and they feed it to us as well. Brian Murphy talks about why we allowed this to happen. And one of the big things he harped on there was we stopped teaching civics. And this is interesting, MAGA and everybody on the left. This is a common refrain, a common complaint I've heard voiced from Americans across the political spectrum as I've been out there every week having conversations with the American people. MAGA, 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 and far, far left, they'll all say the same thing. Joe, we stopped teaching civics. We don't teach our kids civics anymore. We don't teach civics in the schools anymore. We don't teach young people anymore what their responsibilities are in this country as citizens of this country to stay informed. We don't teach them about the basics of how our government works, how our systems work, how civic America works. We don't teach any of this stuff anymore. Common ground on that complaint from both right and left. And that's a big cause for why we're so then susceptible to misinformation and disinformation. And then you add social media, you add the toxicity in our political environment. Final point Brian Murphy made in this conversation is, I thought this was such an interesting way to put it. We all get triggered by events because we're hyper siloed and hyper polarized, and because we all live in our different realities, and because it's like 24/7, you can be in these realities 24/7. Man, when something happens, when something doesn't go our way, when we lose an election, we our guy loses an election, when a piece of legislation gets passed that we don't like, when a president does something we don't like, when anything in the country happens that we don't like, man, we are so easily triggered by what happened, because we're in it like this every day, like this, and we're paying attention to shit, and we're being lied to, and we're being fed bullshit, and boom, then there's an election and our guy didn't win. Boom, right away, there's something wrong. It's got to be a conspiracy. The election was stolen. We're so easily triggered, Brian Murphy said, and then so easily radicalized. And we got into that issue of radicalization. Thank you, Douglas. What it means. And Brian Murphy gave a really interesting definition, TikTok, of what it means to be radicalized. And this is the danger, guys. This is where we're at, right? Look, it's a free market of information out there. So you got a lot of good actors and bad actors, right? It's not like the old days. You had ABC, CBS, and NBC, baby, right? We ain't never going back to that. So now we got a million different sources. We got 24/7 news, instant information at our fingertips. So there's real information out there and there's bullshit out there. And we're bombarded with it every day. And too often, well, as a rule, we are all going to where we want our beliefs confirmed. So we're all going to our silos. We're all living in our silos, information silos. So we are all living in our different realities. And you and your neighbor, you who is a never Trumper, and your neighbor who's a big MAGA, you two live in completely different Americas. You and your neighbor. I mean, completely different realities. And we're in those realities. And man, we're getting fed stuff 24/7. And then, man, when something happens that we don't like, man, we get triggered, we get pissed off, and we want more of it. Wait. My guy didn't win an election. That can't be the case. So then we dig ourselves down in our reality even further to explain why my guy lost an election. And then we get just caught up in conspiracies. And this all, Brian Murphy said, can lead to radicalization. People become radicalized when they lose the ability to see that they can change things. That even though something went not their way, there's still hope. They can still, right? We're triggered. Something happened you didn't like. My guy lost an election. Instead of like in the old days, we'd think, oh, my guy lost. Okay, well, doggone it. I'm going to fight hard on policy, the guy that won. And in 2 years, we're going to nominate another guy, and we're going to try to get our side to win in 2 years. And I'm going to campaign for him and volunteer, instead of following those normal civic avenues that Americans used to follow. Now we think, oh my God, I lost, my guy lost. That bill taking away my guns got passed. Oh my God, I have no recourse except to get violent, fight back, take to the streets, engage in political violence. Radicalization is the ultimate step, Brian Murphy said, when we lose any and all hope that the normal civic channels will do anything for us, the normal civic routes will do anything for us, and all we're left with, because we're so into our information silo, the only recourse I've got is political violence. It was a fascinating conversation, and I do hope you listen to the entire conversation with Brian Murphy, most especially today's 8-minute chunk, which was all about this misinformation and disinformation. Again, it's all there on my Substack. people ask me a lot, Joe, so you're going out there every week and you're having conversations with Americans, but Joe, why are you filming the conversations? And we film them all. I get asked that every day. Thanks, Keith. Keep that up. The reason we're filming these conversations is so you can see them and hopefully learn a little something from them. I have found in the past year and a half an absolute hunger, no matter anybody's politics, an absolute hunger for face-to-face conversation. Every time I'm out, I heard it for a year and a half. So there's a hunger out there for it. We're filming it because we all kind of want to see conversations. I know people love to see the debates and the fights, right? The food fights and all the rest, and people going at each other and yelling at each other, right? All that shit. I'm sure I know there's still an audience for that. I think there's an audience for conversation, just quiet conversation. That's why we film it. socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. We're putting all these conversations up on my Substack. You don't have to be a paid subscriber to access these conversations. Do me a favor, though, become an unpaid subscriber. You'll get notices then when we put new conversations out. Two other topics I wanted to hit at this morning. And look, everything I just said doesn't preclude TikTok. Anybody, man, to passionately express what you believe, right? I'm not this whole let's come together and let's hold hands and let's listen to each other and let's find common ground and let's be civil and respectful toward each other. All of that's good, but none of that means you can't still passionately believe in what you believe in. Don't lose that. I passionately believe in what I believe in. All I'm asking, all I'm trying to help get us to is where you can passionately believe that Donald Trump is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I can believe, as I do, that he is a corrupt, lawless threat to democracy. But I want us to get to a point where you and I can sit down at a table and have a conversation. That's all. I'm not asking you to stop believing in Trump. I'm not going to stop believing what I think he is. I'm asking us to just try to have a respectful conversation and maybe understand each other a little bit better. And who knows, maybe find some common ground. Here's my belief. What we're watching this week, I'll just say it. Donald Trump is in the Middle East. He's over in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. What we're watching this week is the President of the United States using his public office to personally enrich himself. That's what we're seeing this week. We're seeing the president use the office that we put him in to take bribes from foreign governments. That, in a nutshell, is what's going on right now with Trump's trip to the Middle East. That is everything our founders feared. And it's something that the American people should care about. But the American people kind of sort of yawn and say, oh, I don't know, that's just Trump. Donald Trump this week, forget about the plane, right? So Qatar is going to give him, not America. And MAGA, again, just the facts. Maybe, MAGA, the deal will change. Maybe because Trump's getting so much shit. And by the way, for this plane, Trump is even getting tons of shit from people on the right. He is. So maybe, like with Trump's tariffs, Trump was forced to cave on his stupid tariffs. Maybe Trump will be forced to cave on the airplane. And maybe Qatar will have to formally give the airplane to America. And it can't go to Trump, and it can't follow Trump and be with Trump when he leaves office. Maybe the deal, MAGA, will have to change. But right now, the deal with Qatar is giving him a $400 million plane that will cost $1 billion to be refurbished, and it will go with him. It's his gift. But in addition to that, in Qatar, he's opening up, I think, 3 Trump golf courses and a huge Trump resort. Donald Trump this morning shook hands with the new leader of Syria, an Islamist terrorist who right now is killing Christians in Syria. Trump met with him because the new head, the terrorist head of Syria, told Trump he wants to help Trump build a Trump Tower in Damascus. Trump this week will celebrate the development of a new Trump hotel tower in Dubai. A bunch of new Trump organization projects being opened in or being developed now for Saudi Arabia. On and on and on it goes. The president of the United States using his public office this week to basically sign off on a bunch of Trump business projects in each and every one of these countries. In fact, when he's in the UAE, Trump's going to visit the headquarters of World Liberty Financial. You know what that is? That's Trump's crypto company. It's headquartered in the United Arab Emirates. There's not a lot of foreign policy being done this week. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Trump's using the powers of his office to enrich himself personally. That's corrupt, that's wrong, and that kind of thing used to bother, rightly, most Americans. Like with everything with Trump now, we just kind of, what the hey? What the hey? Donald Trump said this morning, he's so happy being in Saudi Arabia because he's being treated like a king. It's a direct quote from Trump. And put aside who Qatar is and who Iran is and who Saudi Arabia is and who Syria is. Just put that aside for now. Trump signing business deal after business deal this week. I said before, this is everything our founders feared. Our founders feared undue foreign influence on our government. Our founders feared a president corrupted by and influenced by foreign governments. And here's the president 249 years later. He's out taking bribes. He's taking bribes. Again, passionately say what you believe. This plane isn't a gift. This is a bribe. This is a bribe. Qatar wants something from Trump. Building a big golf resort in Qatar. Qatar wants something from Trump. Saudi Arabia, treating him like a king. They bust in a mobile McDonald's to feed Trump this week. But signing off on new Trump business project after new Trump business project in Saudi Arabia. Forget who the crown prince is, right? Forget how dirty and bad and evil and corrupt he is. Man, they're feeding a bunch of business, personal business, to the president of the United States this week. These are bribes from foreign governments. And Republicans won't say shit. There will be lawsuits, people asked. And hopefully the courts, when it comes to this plane and everything else, will push back on some of this. But ultimately, this either matters to the American people or it doesn't. That's our test. As we all live in our disinformation, misinformation silos, we either all come together and agree that the president of the United States, Republican or Democrat, shouldn't use his office. By the way, the office that we put him in, shouldn't use that office to enrich himself personally. Either we all agree to that or forget about it. And every Republican president from now on and every Democratic president from now on can use their position in government, use the most powerful office in the land to enrich themselves, to cut business deals. And MAGA, I say this respectfully, MAGA, if you don't have a problem with Donald Trump using his office to enrich himself personally with business deals with foreign governments right out in the open, MAGA, if you don't have a problem with that, do you understand, MAGA? Then you can't complain when a Democratic president does the same thing. Do you understand that, MAGA? That's not the America I want to live in. That's not the America we should live in. Final point on this. It's all out in the open. Like there's never really a cover up with Trump because Trump does his corruption out in the open. Trump does all of his lawlessness out in the open. So no need to talk about a cover up. Trump's doing it. Trump doesn't give a damn what people think. Crypto, he's got, did you hear about that? There was some small Chinese company that yesterday became the biggest investor in Trump's crypto meme coin, whatever it is. Some unnamed Chinese company. Look, it's all out there. Trump's not hiding, enriching himself, making big bucks off of the fact that he's president and his family, by the way. He believes he's untouchable. He believes he can do whatever he wants. And I cannot blame Donald Trump for thinking that way. I cannot blame Donald Trump for thinking he's untouchable. I cannot blame Donald Trump for thinking he can get away with anything and do anything he wants because we, the American people, we've taught him and trained him to be this way. He's the monster, right? He's the corrupt, lawless monster that we created. Hell, we made him president again. We made him president again after he tried to overthrow an American election. Donald Trump thinks he can do whatever he wants. That's all for this morning. Thank you. By the way, you notice the No Kings. I got a No Kings right there, a No Kings poster behind me. You see the No Kings right there. That's hard to do. The No Kings graphic right there Become part of the No Kings movement. Join me. Go to oneflaginitiative.org, all one word. There it is. Go there. Join the No Kings movement. Our president must never be a king. Never, never, never. We don't have kings in America. We do not have kings in America. We do not have kings in America. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Go to oneflaginitiative.org. Join me and get your No Kings merch. Last thing, shoot me an email. If you like me or you can't stand me, shoot me an email and just say hi. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh, all one word, at gmail.com. Kiko, thanks to you. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. I'm out there every week having conversations with the American people, because only face-to-face conversation will keep this country together. If you want me to come where you are, just ask me. Shoot me an invite. Love you all. Have a good week. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract.